So today we're going to be talking about Natascha Maria Kampusch, who was born on the 17th of February 1988, an Austrian author and former talk show host. At the age of 10 years old, on the 2nd of March 1998, she was held captive, abducted in a secret cellar by a kidnapper, Wolfgang Pricklepil, for more than 8 years until she escaped on the 23rd of August 2006. When she escaped, Pricklepil then killed himself at a nearby train station by stepping in front of a train. Kampusch then later wrote a book about her ordeal called 3096 Days. That was in 2010. It was later adapted into a film and it was released in 2013. So in Kampusch's 2010 book about her kidnapping, she stated that her parents had slapped her and that she was considering suicide on the day of her abduction. However, Kampusch asserted that her mother was not abusive and that her home life was better than life in captivity. So this all started when 10-year-old Kampusch left her family's residence in Vienna's Donaustadt district on the morning of the 2nd of March 1998, but then she failed to arrive at school or even come home. Around that time, a 12-year-old witness reported having seen Kampusch being dragged into a white minibus by 2 men, although later on Kampusch did not report a second man being present. Then there was a massive police effort where 776 minivans were examined, including that of her kidnapper Pricklepil, who lived about half an hour away from Vienna by car in the lower Austrian town of Strasov under Norban. He stated that he was alone at home on the morning of the kidnapping and the police were satisfied with his explanation. He said that he was using a minibus to transport rubble from the construction of his home to a site. Kampusch had carried her passport with her when she left, as she'd been on a family trip to Hungary a few days before, so the police extended the search abroad. Accusations against Kampusch's family complicated the issue even more, so there was a lot going on at the material time. Now, during the 8 years of her captivity, Kampusch was held in a small cellar underneath Pricklepil's garage. The entrance was concealed behind a cupboard. The cellar had only 54 square foot of space. It had a door made of concrete and was reinforced with steel. The room had no windows and was soundproof as well. For the first 6 months of her captivity, Kampusch was not allowed to leave the chamber at any time, and for several years of her captivity, she was not allowed to leave the tiny space at night. Afterwards, she spent increasing amount of times upstairs in the rest of the house, but each night she was sent back to the chamber to sleep while Pricklepil was at work. In later years, she was seen outside in the garden alone, and Pricklepil's business partner had said that Kampusch seemed relaxed and happy when he called at his home to borrow a trailer. After her 18th birthday, she was allowed to leave the house with Pricklepil, but her kidnapper threatened to kill her if she made any noise. He later took her on a skiing trip to a resort near Vienna for a few hours, and Kampusch later denied that they'd even made the trip, but eventually admitted it was true, although she said she had no chance to escape during that time. According to Kampusch's official statement after her escape, Pricklepil and her would get up early each morning to have breakfast together. Pricklepil would give her books so she educated herself. She says she did not feel that she had missed anything during her imprisonment. She noted, "I spared myself many things. I did not start smoking or drinking, and I did not hang out in bad company." But she also said it was a place of despair. She was also given a television and a radio to pass the time, although she was initially only allowed to watch taped programs and listen to foreign radio stations, so she would not be aware of the publicised search for her at the material time. At one point she said she tried to escape by jumping out of a car. Then at other times she said that Pricklepil would beat her so badly that she could hardly walk. He would also starve her to make her physically weak and unable to escape. She was also raped by Pricklepil. He'd warned that the doors of the house and the windows of the house were booby-trapped with high explosives just to deter her thinking about escaping. He also claimed to be carrying a gun that he would kill her and her neighbours if she attempted to escape. Kampusch, many times during her 8 years of captivity, fantasised about chopping his head off with an axe, although she quickly dismissed this idea. She also attempted to make noise during her early years of captivity by throwing bottles of water against the walls. She said that on trips out with Pricklepil, she had attempted to attract attention, but this was all in vain. So as I've said before, she finally escaped his clutches on the 23rd of August 2006 when she was cleaning his white van in the garden when Pricklepil got a call on his mobile phone. He said because of the vacuum's loud noise, he walked away to take the call, and Kampusch left the vacuum cleaner running as far away as she could, unseen by Pricklepil, who then completed the phone call without any sign of being disturbed or distracted. He turned around and Kampusch was gone. She had run for some 200 meters meters through neighbouring gardens and the street, jumping fences and asking passers-by to call the police, but they paid her no attention. Now, after about 5 minutes, she then knocks on the window of a 71-year-old neighbour known as Inge T. She said, "I am Natascha Kampusch." The neighbour called the police, who arrived a bit later on, and she was then taken into a police station and identified by a scar on her body, by her passport, which was also found in the room, and also by DNA tests. The police said that she was in good physical health, although she looked pale and shaken. She weighed only 48 kilograms. During all of her statements later on, Kampusch had revealed many disturbing facts, like a time when he hit her in the face about 60 times, one strike with a fist with his full weight on her right ear. In Kampusch's second book, 10 Years of Freedom, she wrote that she'd received abuse from thousands of people online since her escape. She said she'd fled from an enemy and suddenly had tens of enemies in some internet forums, even thousands of enemies. She said that she thought some of the criticism towards her may have been because she seemed tough when talking about her experience, instead of behaving like a victim. In her most recent interview, she said that people probably thought I was missing an eye or something, that I was crying all day and being under the influence of medication. She said that many would have preferred that as a picture of a victim. Kampusch was later awarded ownership of her tormentor's home as compensation for what she went through, but she did not live there. Priklopol killed himself after she had escaped and evaded justice. And this was a harrowing tale of a kidnapper keeping a young girl in captivity for 8 long years. 8 years that she'll never get back. It's a disturbing story. A very, very shocking story. Guys, don't forget to subscribe and like the video, and I'll see you for the next one. Cheers.